Okay, so we're going to continue talking about if something is proportional, but today we're going to be looking at graphs, and then we're also going to be looking at equations. And we're going to continue using what we learned about from tables. So what we're going to do when we see a graph is we're going to take points on the graph and we're going to put them into a table. So you'll see the first example I have here says the graph below represents the cost of a pack of honey. Is the relationship proportional? If so, what is the unit rate and what is the equation to represent the relationship? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the points. So we have a graph here. Our x-axis represents how many honey packs we buy, and the y-axis represents the cost. So what we're going to do is find points on the graph, and I'm pointing to them right now. And we're going to take that information and we're going to create a table, because we know how to check a table to see if it's proportional. So what I want you to do is make a copy of the table, and I want you to fill in the table with points from the graph. So pause the video and fill in the table in your notebook. When you're done, press play. Okay, so your table should look like this. You should have 4 packs of honey, cost $16. 8 packs of honey cost $32. 12 packs of honey cost $48. 16 cost $64. 20 packs cost $80. So now that we have our table, we're going to check the table to see if it's proportional, and you remember how to do that, I hope. So I want you to pause the video. I want you to test the table, then press play and check your answers. So for those of you who forgot how to check a table to check if it's proportional, we're going to extend the table and we're going to find the unit rate. The unit rate that I want, I think, is how much it costs per pack. So I'm starting with my words here, cost per pack. So that means I'm going to take the cost and divide by the number of packs. So this one would be 16 divided by 4 is 4, and so on and so forth. Continue the table, press pause, finish the table, and then press play to check your answers. Okay, so once I did all my work here, I found that all the unit rates were 4. And what does that unit rate mean? So I go back and I look at my words. $4 per pack. So my unit rate is $4 per pack. So since they all had the same unit rate, that means that the graph is proportional. So in case you forgot, I want you to do a little sketch of the graph, and let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Oops. So here we go. We have the graph. It's telling us the unit rate is $4 for every pack. So this is proportional. So I want you to draw a sketch. So you would, if this were me, okay, I would draw a Y and an X. I would label this honey and this cost. And I would just sketch it just like that, nothing crazy, okay? So something that we're going to add here is that we know this table that came from the graph with the honey was proportional and that the unit rate is $4 per pack. But they also asked us to write an equation that goes with this. So what we're going to do is we are going to use H to represent the number of packs of honey. And we're going to use C as the cost. Okay, so what we're going to do is we know those two variables and we know the unit rate is $4 per pack. So that means for every number of packs of honey, we're going to multiply by 4. So that means 4 times, because this is per pack. So my little trick here that I do is whatever it says per pack, that's what I multiply by. So the packs of honey is representing by H, so 4 times H is going to equal the other variable, which is the cost. So this is how I would write an equation for that proportional relationship. Okay, next, so we're going to do another example, so let's call this one example 2. Okay, and I want you to sketch what you see and make a table. So we are going to sketch. You should see, let me get my pointer out here. You should see, I want you to draw the x-axis, label it number of minutes. I want you to then draw the y-axis and label it distance in meters. Okay, so pause the video, draw the x and the y with your labels, and then press play. Okay, so now that you have your x and your y, I want you to draw this line, but notice it does not go through the origin where the x and the y meet. It passes through at 1 meter. Okay, and for this problem, they gave us the equation y equals x plus 1. Okay, so if I plug in 0 for x, when I add 1, y equals 1. Okay, next we're going to make a table. So what I did was I plotted some points that were easy for me to find on this graph. So here I have my line that was drawn on my graph, and I look for points that are easy to find. So if I look at 1 minute and I go up, hey, that's easy to see that that was 2 meters. So I put a point there. At 2 minutes, I go up to where it meets the line. That's easy to see that that's 3 meters. So you want to find a couple of points that are easy to find. So 3 minutes, 4 meters. 4 minutes, 5 meters. And we're going to take those points and we're going to put them into a table. Okay, so here's what our table looks like from that graph. And now what we're going to do is test the table. So I want you to test the table, see if the table is proportional, and that'll tell us if the graph is proportional or not. So pause the video, test the table, and press play when you're ready to check your answers. So the unit rates that you should have gotten should look like this. So you should have gotten 2 meters per minute, or 1.5 meters per minute, 1 1/3 meters per minute, or 1 1/4 meters per minute. You also could have done the reverse unit rate, which is minutes per meter, and you would have gotten, let me do that work quick, let me pause it. So if you found the minutes per meter unit rate, you would have gotten different unit rates. You would have gotten half a minute per meter here, or 2/3 of a minute per meter, 3/4 of a minute per meter, or 4/5 of a minute per meter. I also changed those to decimals. So notice that none of the unit rates match. And even if they all matched but one, it's still not proportional. They all have to be exactly the same. So our answer to this is that it is not proportional. And if it's not proportional, it doesn't have a unit rate because we couldn't find a unit rate in the table. Okay, we're also going to talk just a little bit about looking at an equation and trying to figure out if it's proportional. And we're going to do the exact same tool from our toolbox which is making a table from the information that we know. So is the equation y equals 5x proportional? So we have the equation y equals 5x. We're going to make a table. So in our table, we're going to have x and y, and we're going to plug in some values. So if x is 1, if I plug in 1, 1 times 5 is 5. If I plug in a 2, 5 times 2 is 10. If I plug in a 3, y is 15. And if I plug in a 4, y is 20. So let me just show you quickly what I did here. So for example, for this last entry, if x equals 4, I plugged in 4 instead of x. So 5 times 4 is 20, so y equals 20. That's how I got that 20 there. And I did that for each one in my head. As they get more complicated, you might have to show the work for each step, but for these, you can just fill in the table. So now we're going to test the table to see if it's proportional. So go ahead, pause the video, do that, and then check your answer. Okay, so here I found the unit rate of x, I found the unit rate of y divided by x, so I took the y divided by the x. So here it was 5 divided by 1 is 5, 10 divided by 2 is 5, 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. You also could have found the other unit rate, which is x over y, and that would have given you 1 divided by 5, which is 1/5. So this would have given you 2 divided by 10, which reduces to 1/5. 3 divided by 15, which reduces to 1/5. And 4 divided by 20, which reduces to 1/5. So no matter which unit rate you find, you will notice that you get the same unit rate no matter which unit rate you find. So that means the equation y equals 5x is proportional. Okay, so we're going to use that tool of making a table and checking the table to see if something's proportional for pretty much everything that we're going to be testing. So we'll practice these in class, and that's it. Good night.